Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, I'm so excited that Trent reached out because we talked a while back about a partnership and then we didn't talk about it. So this is great. Tell me about
Yeah.
yourself.
Actually, yes, it's with great pleasure because we share a common interest, which is culture change, organizational change.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I apologize for being a little bit like that, but I did not have a meeting before ours, and instead of my previous meeting got dragged right into this one, so I'm a little bit late.
Oh, it's okay.
Getting myself
I'm not,
together. So.
you're perfectly fine. You're on time as far as I can see. It looks like someone else is on here. Is that someone to take notes for you?
Yes, do you mind actually?
Not at all, not at all. Hello, whoever you are, hello.
It's like my shadow. It's my
Yeah.
best friend right now.
Well, that's great. That's great. So, yeah, I can see that we're already kind of kindred in our way of looking at the world. And I felt that way with Trent because of the accountability piece. Our work is called responsibility based.
Yes.
And it's really about using your power and guiding your power instead of suppressing people's power, helping them to use it in service to themselves and one another. And yeah.
Yeah, it's actually I didn't have time to look at all of your videos, but I picked a little bit of each one, and I didn't go through all the material, but just because last week was hectic and we are preparing for a conference, and he's loading on me many things, so I'm trying to catch up.
Yes.
So you have
Yes.
to forgive me.
Oh
But
no,
I
I'm not. I won't hold anything against you. You're amongst friends, okay?
yes, but I was extremely enthusiastic about what the little I saw of your work, and because it overlaps with my with my background. Of course, it overlaps with the personal accountability and part of trans vision of things.
Yes.
But
Yes. Well, and I think I was already, when I was looking through your profile again, I thought we need to figure out a way to do something in Greece because I've always wanted to go to Greece and it would be so cool
oh
to
yes,
figure out a way to do something.
Judy, that would make me the happiest. Really, because I'm trying,
Yeah.
Trent is not very enthusiastic about Greece. I am a fan. I'm married to Greece, basically.
Yes. Well, maybe we'll have some kind of executive retreat there or something.
Yes, I think we should do something.
Have passport, we'll travel. Would you like for me to give you just kind of an overview of what we're about in a way that maybe kind of capsulizes it a little bit? Would that be helpful?
That would be great, and then I'll try to do the same about myself. But yes, a little. I will go through all the material that you send me because I'm simply like fascinated by it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's just between the two of us, it's my world. When
Yeah,
I saw
well,
it, I was like,
I know.
it cannot.
I'll tell you a funny story. One of my 5 kids, when she was my youngest, she said to me one time, I wish I had your work ethic. And I said, you do. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, you stay up all night to work on to play video games. And she said, but mom, that's fun. And I said, that's how my work feels. When you love what you do, you feel passionate about it. I have been passionate about this for over 30 years. And I'm grateful that I can say that because a lot of people aren't living what's their calling and they're not happy in what they're doing, and I feel like the world really needs what is happening right now. So I'll just do a quick thing and then maybe we could go back and forth if that's okay with you. Because I want to give a context for what we want to accomplish. Our mission statement, so we're in our 21st year, Lifework Systems, and our mission statement is to create a world in which all people love their lives. So create a world in our view is create the conditions and conversations and the concepts and tools and the understanding so that people can love their lives. And we want them to love their life, whatever that is, and that they can find a way to be holistic and responsible and powerful within that life. And so one of our main visions, not our mission, but our main visions is to fulfill our mission in partnership with like-minded, like-hearted thought leaders worldwide. And so what we've done is, there's 2 things that I would say are equally important in what we're doing. One is just helping people understand what kind of model are we talking about. because culture is a little bit like the word parenting. You could have 10 parents in a room and they would all disagree on what is healthy parenting, right? So we
Yes.
have a very specific kind of shared power model that is not yet mainstream, but it is out there in the world. And it's where the evolution of organizational development has been heading. So it's called a teal model. I can send you, I probably sent you something on that. Then the other part of it is, so it's what kind of model? Even leadership development in many companies means developing the titled leaders. In our world, it means everyone being developed in their leadership. Like when my children were little, by the time they were 5 years old, they knew how to run a family meeting because we wanted them to know how to lead and follow. And we wanted to practice leading and following because you need both in today's world so that you can flex and be agile. So that's one thing, is what kind of model. And then the other thing is, how do you implement that in a scalable, consistent, sustainable way? And that's the part I feel the most excited about, because that's what's a missing piece. McKinsey Health Institute, I might have sent you an article by them where I marked it all up. And they're saying basically all the problems with stress and burnout and wellness and mental health and all of this is tied to toxic workplace culture. But the need is for a systemic change to, transform that toxic workplace culture. So how do you do that systemically? Well, that's something we've done with our implementation, because we've done a very immersive type of a process. We just finished a new video on that. That's going to go on our new version of our website on the implementation itself, so that you can kind of see that. So that's what allows us to be scalable worldwide. We've been reaching out just in the last year to the Scandinavian countries, to the UK. And what we're finding is there's even more receptivity to the kind of model we're using. So I'm excited to see where there's openness to a scalable system like this. So that's a little bit about, so when we're looking for partners, we're looking for revenue sharing partners, where maybe this is a piece that they want to plug in and then they share the revenues. And it could also be a profit center where you bring in consultants that want to handhold various organizations through that scalable system, if that's of interest. So that's a little bit about us.
Okay, and that's actually great. I have a question. So you really have found that the implementation is taken well here in the Scandinavian countries and.
Well, I wouldn't say the implementation because we're still in the early stages, but the understanding of the relevance of the kind of model and the importance of the kind of implementation is much more, there's a receptivity to it in some of those countries more than the United States. And I'm not saying all of the United States, because even in the United States, there's such a wide range of progressive to backwards, so, but we're just, there's other countries that are just more egalitarian to begin with.
Yes, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I would be happy, I'm sure we will discuss, I know Trent has not really looked at your email completely and I'm sure he wants to talk and jump in, after we have this initial meeting. But yes, I'm 100% glad, and happy to do either of your propositions. Now it's up to him to decide how to pay you in and
yeah, well, you certainly have the network. My question to you would be, what is the strategic direction of Spirit of the Game around creating, I don't really understand where you all are in terms of, are you looking for scalable solutions that allow many, many people to kind of have the common understanding of humanity and how to be well in it, for example? Is that one of the goals?
I assume yes, because the main goal, and I keep telling him that it has to be clear in all that we do, is for individuals and organizations to be personally accountable for what they do and have a positive impact on society. So all the trainings and all the tools we're going to use should be pushing on that direction. Now, I also told him that it's very important to underline what we mean by personal accountability and put it in context, because it means differently in different places.
It does. And so we have we have a very clear guidelines for what is accountability. And that's why the model is called responsibility based, because it's about, I don't know, did you have a chance to watch the story about the 8th grade student?
No, I didn't.
Do you mind if I kind of give you that as an example?
No, not at all. I'm happy actually, but I'll go through all the material.
So what we're talking about when we say personal responsibility is that a person is given the support and the tools and the understandings to be responsible for managing relationships, productivity, engagement in their life and work, their progress. In other words, have they identified their purpose, their values, their visions, their goals, their procedures, their roles, and are they managing to get the support to move that forward? Because what most people are great at is raising awareness, and they like to have a lot of awareness and think about things. It's when it's translated into being managing something that it's difficult for people. I can be aware that I need to lose weight. Am I going to get up and eat right and go to the gym and all those things to manage it? So that's where the real shift is. That's where the implementation is so important, is how do you help people shift not only their mind, but their behavior? So one of the things we did in the early days is we worked in a lot of school reform. And there was a school where there was only one teacher using our model. So here she was doing classroom meetings and helping her students to become more responsible for those things that I just mentioned, managing their relationships, their intention, their purpose, everything. And she said to me, sometimes I don't know how to transfer responsibility. She said, would you come and sit in on one of my classroom meetings? And it was the 8th grade kids, 14 years old. And during the meeting, one of the kids came in and he said, I'm being bullied by my homeroom teacher. And she said, well, go ahead and put it on the meeting agenda. And so at the meeting, he said, we're being asked to do this peace pledge where we put our hands on our hearts and we say, I pledge to use my words and my actions for peace in the school. And he said, I don't have a problem with the pledge, but the teacher did this to us. She pointed it real angry and said, if I catch any of you not doing the pledge, you're going to get a detention. And he's like, that's just wrong. And I happen to agree. I think it's ironic that it's all about peace, but she's bullying them into doing it, right? So the teacher looks at me like, how do I help him? And I said, do you want me to show you? And she said, yes. And I said to the student, I said, do you want peace in the school? And he said, well, yeah, I do. And I said, do you want peace with that teacher who's bullying you? I didn't even pull any punches. I said, she is bullying you. Do you want peace with her? And he said, yeah, I guess so. And I said, okay, are you willing to look at where you could be doing more with her? And right away he got defensive. He was like, me, I'm the one being bullied. And I said, you are, but you're the one that wants the peace and you're the one asking for help. So are you willing to look? And he said, well, yeah. And I said, do you ever say bad things about her behind her back? And he said, well, yeah, I hate her. And I said, gossip and hate, anything warlike about those? And he says, yeah, I guess, and he starts to see it, right? And then I said, do you ever try to go to her when things are calm and have a peaceful conversation? And he said, no, we're all afraid of her. And I said, did you know that when you're afraid of somebody, you're in attack mode to them? And he said, no, what do you mean? And I said, if a dog comes running up to you and it's hostile, if you get more afraid, does that dog get more hostile or less hostile? And he goes, more hostile. And I said, yeah, why? He said, I don't know. I never thought about it. I said, it's because you have the dog in the monster box. You have the dog in the enemy camp and the dog's going to return the favor. That's where you're doing war with your teacher, your homeroom teacher. And he said, wow, I didn't know that. I said, well, now that you see hate, gossip, and fear of the teacher is your part, what do you want to do? And he said, well, now I want to go and have a civil conversation with her, but I don't really know exactly how to do it. And I said, well, isn't it great? You have 20 classmates, a teacher, and even a coach. What if you just role played it and practiced it? And what was so powerful to me in what we're doing is that other kids started to say, I'll go with you because I've been at war with her too, and I didn't know I was. And then the teacher came to me at the end of the day and she said, you can see that I love these kids, but I want to go with you at the end of the year. I want to, cancel my teaching assignment and go work with you on the school reform, because it's crazy that we're teaching them math and reading, but they don't know how to do these things. And we have all these signs up that say respect and accountability, like accountability, right? And responsibility. And yet we don't teach them how to have that. Does that kind of, it's a story we tell at conferences, because no matter how high up you are in a company, no matter how many billions of dollars you have, if you can't manage your employees so that they can manage relationships with their authority figures, you're kind of sunk already, because you don't have trust, you don't have full engagement, You have people being resentfully compliant and resistant and rebellious. And all of that is kind of an example of task ownership. So when we talk about responsibility, we're very clear about what that looks like. Every single person, like Trent says, being accountable to how they affect the world. But they can't do that if the environment is toxic and they don't have the skills and they don't have the support systems. Does that kind of help, Manuela?
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah.
And it's very in line with my idea of the world and things. So
Yes. Yes. So,
can you,
so we're pretty clear about what our goals are, what we're trying to do. I'm not really sure where we fit with Spirit of the Game, other than with a very small amount of effort on the part of Spirit of the Game, because of the influence that you all hold, and your network is so broad that
yes,
we believe, and your message is so similar as far as accountability. I believe that it would be an easy jump to help us work with some of the companies that you're already interacting with, our organizations. And that way you share revenues, and you could even decide if you wanted to create a subset of people within your organization that become what we call oversight consultants. Do you want me to tell you what that is?
yes, be very precise so that if I have the chance to get back to Trent, I can be
Okay,
clear, because I
okay.
think he needs clarity.
Okay, so what I want you to know is that the process we use for implementation is very immersive. It's based on best practices from education. What they what they found in education is that if you just lecture to students, they're not going to remember anything beyond the test, most things. If
Yes.
you give them ways to, take home a packet or a video and then write about it, reflect on it, think about it, and then come back and talk with their peers in the classroom about it and put it on and practice it, and all the things that we were doing in that classroom meeting, for example, they're much more likely to understand its relevance and remember it long term. That's about retaining knowledge and new ways of acting. So we do that on steroids. So when we do a project, all of our online training is on a portal. All of our assessments are on a portal. Not only individual training, but when people come together in small groups and they review the content, and those are staff led, just like my kids would take turns leading the family meeting, they're taking turns leading these group review sessions. And we purposely mix the levels. So the CEO of an organization might be in the same group as a receptionist on purpose. So we break those hierarchical, separations. And so when those small groups happen, then additionally, within a year, every month, not only do they have individual work, group review work, but they also pair up in mentoring. It could be reverse mentoring and peer mentoring. And they fill out, post-training surveys. So there's like all these different touches on how to actually retain that information and know how to use it. And then the ultimate goal is that after that first year, the mentoring continues, and it's set up in a way where if I were mentoring you, I might say, Manuela, do you have any relationships that are not a 10? And if you had one, you would know what of the 8 behaviors that build trust is being broken by you, what of the 8 are being broken by the other person, and what tools you would decide what tools you're going to use that you've learned to go and fix that relationship or start improving it. So it's all about moving them into that new behavior. So all of that is immersive. All of that is built on a digital platform. What we do with oversight consulting is we prepare each month's small group leaders so that they are ready and they know how to lead a small group. I'm doing one this morning where they're going to lead a small group through using a leader guide and a group module that kind of covers what they learned in their individual work the month before, so that they can talk about it and they can practice it. And then I'll sit in on everyone's initial mentoring session, for example. And then every month, I'll maybe sit in on 3 or 4 of those pairs each month, so that by the end of that year, they have been overseen in their mentoring at least 3 or 4 times, so that they really know what mentoring is in our model and what it isn't in our model. Are you still there?
Yes. Can you?
Okay, looked like your screen froze for a minute. So there's certain things that we handhold them through. Your organization could make money both ways. Let's say you got us into an organization and everything that we did, that we delivered, you would make 20% on. That can be huge, because like right now we're doing a small project in New York, only 12 people. It's the initial pilot project. It's $28,000. The partner made $5,000. All they did was sent them a survey that they filled out, and then they wanted to talk with us. And we kept the partner apprised of everything and sent them the proposal when we were ready to deliver a proposal. That partner would make money on all the other 170 employees at this small, it's a orthopedic surgery company. They would make money on the entire duration of the project. Imagine if that was a 2,000 person company. Not that bigger is better. I'm just telling you that there's a lot of opportunity to do good and to fund your organization to do more good work. That secondary income would come from if you wanted to create a group of people that would be oversight consultants that would handhold people through that process. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They just have to make sure people are using the process appropriately and that they're well supported in understanding everything. Does that kind of help?
Yes, and how long in general do, you mentioned a year, does it last like, say you jump in a company to help, how long does the whole process last? 1 year, more?
It lasts initially, it's usually a pilot project. Usually it's a bigger project than 12. It's usually 20 or 30 people, sometimes more. That process is about 14 months because we have preliminary work we do, and we do a kickoff session. We even do a kickoff session to explain what they're committing to before they ever sign a contract. Because it's about a 4.5 hours worth of investment of their time every month for a year. So we want them to be really on board. Once they do a project, typically what they'll do is a couple more projects, and then we start identifying the people in the company that can become their own oversight consultants. And what happens after that, if it's a larger company, they just purchase all of our training and our portal system and our assessments. And we get, we pay the partners on that, we make revenues on that, but they're now self-sufficient. Our goal is to transfer responsibility for the culture model to the organizations so that they can begin running it themselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, to me it sounds, excellent. At least on my part. So I'll be glad, I'll ask Trent. I think we have to organize another meeting for all of us to be there. And I'll attend too.
I mean, I did explain a lot of this to Trent at one time, but I don't know that he was ready to jump on it. I don't know if I sent you the partner video. I suspect I did. That kind of goes through all the different ways you can connect us. When you, let's say your organization becomes what's called a collaborator partner. And let's say you send out 5 emails a month for us. And they just say, hey, if you're having any problems in your workplace because you're an executive, we encourage you to take this survey. Let's say that's all you did. And then we are the ones that go in and generate the report and then ask them if they want to talk about it. And then we are the ones that generally sell. Some organizations want to be what's called a strategic partner, where they already have contracts that they put out. And so they want to just write us into their contracts and sell and close. And they make more revenue because they're doing that work of closing the sale. And then some want us to close the sale, but they want to be the oversight consultants. So we kind of have a combination of things. It's not a lot of effort on your part. I would suspect, Manuela, that you and I and Trent are not primarily money driven. And yet to do the things we want in the world, we need the revenues to be able to continue to build and grow and expand, into the world. So I'm not shy about saying we pay very, very well to our partners, but the more important thing is that we're like-minded and like-hearted.
And I agree, I completely agree with you. So and I am going to talk, Trent, and would like the 3 of us to meet again. I think he has not captured completely. Maybe when you spoke to him last time, he has not immerse himself in detail in what.
Yeah, I think he's got so much going on and his vision is so big and he's just trying to build all. Yeah, well, that's why I try very hard to be clear about where our boundaries are and where our lanes are, because otherwise you can kind of burn out and not necessarily achieve what you actually want. So we're super clear. We just want to make sure that what we're doing helps you all love your lives. If it fits into helping you love your life, the advantage to you that I believe is there is that we already have a fully proven, fully developed system, very robust, that all you would do is plug it in and you guys are so connected, that would be an easy thing. And because a lot of the people attracted to you are like-minded to us, they would probably want to also additionally be the oversight consultants. Because that's a way that they can have their hands in, but they don't have to reinvent a whole set of curriculum and processes and all of that.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And actually now, because you asked me before and I did not answer, because we jumped into, of course, what was very interesting. I'll tell you a little bit about my background too, so you can position, where I stand, and you can understand also why I completely buy into your idea. Okay, and I'm favorable. So my background is, of course, in business, in management. And I was at INSEAD in France, where I worked on a dissertation that actually looked at a company that was going from public, a utility company, going from public to private. And I looked, I had over 101 individual interviews with employees at all levels, going from leaders all the way down, at different sites of the company in France. So, sites where the leadership was strong, sites where, you were hands-on with the work, et cetera, et cetera. And I also shadowed the leaders. I got to shadow the leaders. And basically what I was looking was how they would respond to the change, mostly with an eye towards motivation and emotions. So clear, more, and to summarize a little bit, what I captured was that the ones that were driven by the change were the ones that were anchored in old narratives and on others. Because in the past culture, there was a strong tie with helping the others. And now, now they were moving from this type of culture where others were central, you have to help everyone out there, if it snows, if it rains, and not for profit, for the sake of the good of society. And now they were being asked to move to profits, and they were not happy at all about this, because it was changing their whole, organization.
Right.
Even so, they were turning into profit centers, and this concept to them was, something far, far, far away. So basically, yes. So I followed them, and at the end, it was the groups that were more tied to the narratives and to the others that seemed to be more successful to come out. The groups were that were actually not seeing anymore in the story, in the company framework. We're not seeing anymore the good for the others and society, and and could not find a way to continue carrying that narrative and that love for the population. These groups were failing.
Yes. What's so interesting about what you're saying is people think if they focus on profit first, somehow that's a winning way. It's not. No. If you keep purpose and people center and you do it well, profit follows. It's crazy that they do it backwards. Yeah.
So that basically that was the main part. So for them, profit, main finding of my dissertation.
Well, it's interesting what you're saying reminds me of our one of the things we're always looking at when we look at prospects, even as partners. So I think you would be able to relate to this, are the psychographics. So you're saying the people that cared about and felt passionate about developing the people that really saw the needs in the world that were including humanity, not just profit and not just business growth.
Yes.
Those kind of psychographics are what we look for. I remember when I first started out in business and I was working with a marketing company, and I told them that our mission is to create a world where all people love their lives. One of them said to me, "Oh, business leaders don't care if their people love their lives." And I said, "Well, then I don't want to work with those leaders." Because even the ones that don't care, they're starting to know that they better care because of the Great Resignation and all that stuff. So you are describing in your dissertation certain psychographics that you were noticing.
Yes.
We're all about profit. You were not going to be successful.
No, no. And in fact, and like you said, and you mentioned, the leaders that were, in charge or managing those centers were and pushing for profit were probably the leaders that were less successful
Yes.
in getting their centers to work.
Yes.
In other centers where the notion that they had before, the narratives that they had before were deep rooted and remained, those centers were going well. We're adapting to the change more easily.
Yes. Yes.
And accepting it.
That's what I mean. I literally ask God every day, send me the people who are ready for this, because I don't want to push those people up the hill that don't want this, because some leaders don't. They're just old school and they're all about dominating, and they're all about kind of just a transactional relationship with people where you do what I want or else, and yeah. Yeah.
So yes, I saw a lot of that, and
fascinating. So you've only been with Spirit of the Game for 4 months, right?
Not even. I've started the end of February, 26th.
Okay.
So yes, very little.
And what did you do before that, Manuela?
Not much. Basically worked on my own research. So I was a freelancer, and I'm writing up papers and working on my own research, because at the same time my father passed away and I'm looking after my mom. So
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yes. And just working on my papers. Now, Spirit of the Game takes over 100% of my time, but
yeah. Well, if Spirit of the Game has an objective to, I think there's two things that could potentially work with our work, is that we are designed to scale accountability. You are all about helping accountability occur. We have a very specific way, because when the video that I'm going to send you, another video, but it's just on the implementation. Yes. It tells a story about how this one group just wanted to put all their leaders through. Do you have time for me to tell you another story? Is that okay?
Yes, with pleasure. Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. So we have a client that has 550 employees, and the CEO, he was so excited about our model because he knows the psychology we use. We use Alfred Adler's psychology, and he loves that psychology. And he said, I didn't know anybody had built a scalable system with this. So, but first he said, before we do this immersive 4.5 hours a month process, I just want you to take the supervisors all the way up to the C-suite. There were 52 leaders in that company that had direct reports. I just want you to take us through all your 30 plus concepts and tools. And can we just do 2-hour sessions every other week for 6 months? Because that would be the whole, as if they all went through the individual modules. So I said, okay. In one of those sessions, we teach these 2 tools that are designed to eliminate gossip. Is this something you've heard before?
No, and I'm fascinated. Go ahead.
Okay. So if I was doing this commitment to you, it's called a mind trust. It's one of the tools. I would be promising you, so we go over this, I would be promising you, I would say, Manuela, I commit to 4 things. I commit that I won't say bad things about you behind your back. I commit that if I have a problem with you, I'll come to you directly and I'll talk to you about it and work it out. I promise that if someone else comes to start saying bad things about you, I'll respectfully stop them. I might offer them the healthy venting tool, which is a different tool, but I won't let them bash on you. And I'll also commit to you that I'll try to get that person to go to you so that they work it out with you instead of holding on to a grudge or taking it to other people. And they got all excited about this. They said, oh, we love that tool. I said, would you be willing to go to each other one-on-one on Zoom or in person and make those commitments to each other? And they're like, yes, like that. So what they didn't realize is that if you don't do the work of really considering, could I really make the first promise to everyone? Or is there a part of me that kind of likes to talk bad about people, Or what about that second one? Could I really go to my boss if I'm having an issue? What if it blows up in my face? What if I don't feel like I have the confidence? What if I don't have the skills? What if I get fired, right? So if you don't really think about it, it just sounds like a great idea. So they all said that they were going to go and do this with all the 52. So at the very end of the whole program, one of them calls me and he says to me, we love everything we learned, but we learned so much and we don't really know how to apply it very well. And I have 8 leaders under me. So the 9 of us, we're not getting along all that well. So could you come in and show us how we're supposed to apply what we've learned? And I said, well, I'm going to be talking to your CFO today. I'll ask if there's a budget for that. So when I called the CFO, this is where it gets kind of funny. She says to me, because she was in the program too, she says, oh, he really needs the help because he was saying bad things about me at a meeting. And 2 people were so upset, they came and told me all the bad things he was saying. And I said to her, did you ask them if they stopped him? Because don't they have a mind trust with you that if somebody starts saying bad things about you, they'll stop them? And she goes, oh, I didn't even think about that. And I said, I guess you didn't ask them if they went to him to talk about it because they didn't like him doing that. They had a problem with him, which is, I'll come to you if I have a problem with you. And she said, no, I didn't think to ask that. I said, did you go to him when you knew that he was saying these bad things and now you have a problem with him? And she goes, no, in fact, I tattled on him to his boss. And then I found out his boss was there and he didn't stop him either. And then she goes, what is wrong with all of us? Isn't that hilarious?
Yes.
So what I said to her was, and now we tell this story, it's in the video I'm going to be sending you. Now we tell this story. When I gave him that tool all by itself without the work, it's like I gave them a tennis racket and they thought it made them tennis stars. And I said, you can't really be a tennis player, an effective one, if you don't even see the game, if you don't, really reflect on different things, if you don't get out on the court, if you don't get coaching, if you don't develop muscle memory, if you don't develop a love for the sport, you're not going to use that tennis racket. It's just going to be a shiny object up in your closet that you're going to forget about. And that's what happened with this, because one of the hardest things to sell people is the time they need to put in. Because if they think, oh, just give me the tool. No, it's not going to work. In fact, it's a whole bunch of skills that allow people to go to one another and work out the problems. If they don't have an understanding of what's broken and what are the options to fix it, they're not going to go to each other and work it out because it's not going to be very effective. So I tell you that because that's what we want you to already have the advantage of, is that way of understanding and the information of all of that so that people can really change. And that way your people don't have to build that. It's already built. What are your thoughts about any of this?
I like it. I like it a lot. It's very constructive and if you and I liked how you said, you're given the racket, but tennis racket.
You don't know what to do with it. And you don't even remember you have it.
Yes.
Isn't that hilarious? I wrote an article. It's called "A Fool with a Tool is Still a Fool."
Yeah, very good. So, what I like about it is that this whole thing makes you actually be introspective.
It does.
And not only blame things on others, and it makes you more active.
It definitely is a deep dive into yourself.
Yes.
And that's, and what we find is that most people don't really get on board with it until they're willing to overcome their fears, because we're all moving against centuries worth of conditioning about win, lose, and domination and things that shame one another. And until we start really putting those down, we have this one session on, do you know what appreciative inquiry is? Appreciative inquiry is really powerful. It's a tool where, let's say, are you married?
Yes.
Okay, let's say you and your husband, God forbid, were having problems and you went to an appreciative inquiry instructor or therapist, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't have to be, this is not just related to this. It's not, appreciative inquiry isn't just about this, but this is an example. If you went to traditional counseling, they probably say, what's the problem? And you might say, oh, he never helps around the house. Or she, do you have a wife or a husband? Husband, okay. I don't want to assume anything. So you might start talking about the problems you have. But in an appreciative inquiry, the person would say, before we get into anything, I want to hear the stories of when you were most in love. What were you saying to each other? What were you thinking about each other? What were other people saying to you and about you? And how did you feel? And then the present day appreciative questions would be, okay, I know that you're here for some problems, but tell me the stories of where everything is going well, where you guys are doing great. Oh, you really parent in the same way. Oh, you really agree on finances. Tell me what that's like. So they're recreating that whole energy system, right? Now,
Yes.
tell me, before we go into any problems, tell me what your vision is for your marriage at its best. What would be happening in that, right? So one of the things that we teach is this: how do you do this in workplaces? How do you do this in any situation where you ask questions? Like if I said to you, how are you today? If you had a headache, you might say, well, I'm okay, but I have a headache. But if I said to you, what's the best thing that's happened to you today? You would have to go into the part of your brain that thinks about what are the good things and what was the best of the good things, right? So it's a really cool tool. So one of the things we have in that session is about a little story about how a caterpillar eats, and eats, and eventually it gets to the point where it hangs down and forms a chrysalis. But what happens inside the chrysalis is that these cells that are dormant inside the caterpillar, called imaginal cells, I don't know if you've ever heard this, that's what they're really called. They start warring with the caterpillar cells, and the caterpillar cells don't like that because they're used to being caterpillars. And so if you were to poke into the chrysalis, you'd see this ugly, soupy mess, and you think somebody died in there, because somebody is dying in there, you know? And so eventually the imaginal cells win the day. And we know that the happy ending is that this amazing butterfly comes forward, which is much different and much more free. And yet when people are going through the change process, they don't know a butterfly is on the other end of it. So I was teaching that class. It was month 9. I was sitting in on it. And the group leader at the end, we always ask them, what is one aha you got? And what is one next step? And she said, my aha is that I finally realized I'm now an imaginal. But it took me 9 months, because when I was first introduced to this model, I was frustrated. I was aggravated. I didn't want to have to do more work. I had just been recently hired. Why should I have to do this program? And she said, over time, I realized the value of this program for not only myself, but my coworkers, the people we serve. So what I'm telling you about that is the work that you all are doing and the work that I'm doing. It is not easy work, because we're disrupting centuries worth of the status quo. And there's not even the best person. There's many people, there's a resistance to that change at first. So they have to deep dive. They have to look at themselves. Just like that kid, he didn't want to look at, oh yeah, I'm part of the problem. He wanted to see how he was the victim. He didn't want to see how he had a part in it and that he could influence if he set an intention, you know?
Yes, in fact, people don't realize that all of us actually can help.
All of us, yes.
Make the move in the right direction.
Yes.
We tend to say, I'm the victim. I don't want to approach the person. I don't want to talk. It's their fault.
Yes. My kids, it was really cool when I was raising my children. They would bring their neighborhood friends in and say, Mom, will you help us with the dialogue tool? Will you help us with the mind trust? Or they would just bring their friends in to help work their issues out, because they knew that our family was all about doing that.
Yeah, and it's great, I think.
It is.
It must be really nice to be part of such a family.
Yeah, sometimes we have our problems because we're still evolving, I've always stated, I think I do this work also for myself because it heals my own trauma, my own childhood, my own, even though mine was kind of normal, everybody's traumatized to some extent because of the way that yeah.
Mine was a good childhood. For example, my dad was working for construction companies and we were moving every 2 years.
Oh wow. My dad owned a construction company.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so you had a pretty normal childhood, but you know what? I'm reading a book right now called, it's by Gabor Mate, and it's called The Myth of Normal. It's how what we think is normal is so toxic, and yet we're so used to it, we don't even realize it's not okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we're not trained to see,
we're not trained to see, we're not trained to question the most basic concepts. So if you do watch those videos, you'll see the 4 control models that we typically use that we think are good. And Adler has a phrase called spitting in your soup, which is you have to spit in what people think is wholesome in order for them to let go of it. Because otherwise they'll just keep going back to it.
I guess it's a little bit what we have to do, you with
You know,
your work and us with our work here.
we're spitting in people's soup. Yep.
I'm not so sure they're happy about it, but
Well, I mean, some are, and some come a little bit kicking and screaming, and the ones that are really kicking and screaming, I don't want to work with them because I don't believe everybody is ready for the change. But the
Yeah.
more people that really are ready, that get the information and do change, they become a beacon of hope for people. They start to realize, well, oh,
Yeah.
I want what they have over there.
You're right. And it's all, it's always better to, like my family would say, to raise the, a wall a little bit than not raise it at all.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's slow in coming sometimes, But I just think there's a lot of opportunity. I feel like we're spiritually, mentally, emotionally aligned with you guys. It's just about whether you want this kind of business model with us. Because we are in
Ye-
a committed growth stage where we want to reach a lot of people.
Yes. If it, on my sense is that it's a great way forward. Now, I'm eager to discuss it, with Trent, but I really think something can be done. Now, I don't know how he visions it, but for me, something definitely can be done.
Yeah, it's not hard. Honestly, when we work with some of our partners, we tell them if you give us 10 minutes a month, because we have a partner manager that reaches out to our partners. And if they're just a collaborator, which I don't mean just, but a collaborator, all they do is find any way that we give them lots of ideas to connect us. So for example, we have an event every month. It's $147. We'll give our partners a code so that they'll reach out because it's limited to a certain amount of leaders. It's not for the general public. It's for people that are in the decision-making position. And they'll send this out to somebody they know and they'll say, hey, if you're a director or above and you want to go to this, we can give you a coupon code. It can give them 50% off. It can give them so they get in free. We just want to keep it small. We want to keep it focused toward that audience. Even if there's only 3 or 4 people, it's okay with us. Because if those are the decision makers, they're going to be the one to understand the model and understand a little bit about the implementation so that they can make an informed decision. If they even just fill out the survey, because they're required to fill out a survey when they take that session. So do you see how, let's say somebody in your organization is responsible for that partnership with us, and they only put in 10 minutes a month. Our partner manager will just call and check in. Hey, do you need some new ideas? Is there anything we can help you with? Oh, we're having this thing over here. Oh, here's a new video if you want to send it out. The spirit of the game. I did a session that I sent you. It's called Mental Health, Creating Safe Spaces. It was about 40 minutes. I sent it to somebody in the UK. I didn't even realize it, but she was a wellness coordinator at a high school in the UK. And she's actually over 2 high schools, but she has a vision to take a wellness culture model out to all the high schools in the UK. She's just by sending her that video, she goes, oh my gosh, you're exactly what I've been waiting for. She said, can you send me a proposal after we talk? Right now, what we're waiting on is to find the money. I don't know if you can help us with that, but they're trying to find the money to fund a project in the schools. And right now we gave them lower prices because it's, it's like a nonprofit or something, where you need to adjust a little bit. But they have a proposal, and if we could get that moving somewhere in the UK, we could bring it out to all the high schools in the UK. That's an example of, I just sent a video, and that's the response. I now have a proposal. So we don't really ask a lot of our partners. It doesn't take a lot for us to get engaged with them.
Yeah, I told Judy, you have my full support and full approval. So, and I see the fit. I would love, to move forward and work together, actually.
Yeah, I think you would be a great partner because you understand intellectually and emotionally the relevance. So
Yes.
you would know where to connect us, how to connect us. And we give you so much support. We send you like templates, we send you cheat sheets, we send you the psychographics, we send you all the different stepping stones. And then we have somebody checking in just to support you. So I mean, that could be as simple as you doing that.
Yes. I'll think it over. I'm willing. I'm willing.
Yeah. You know what I wish you could
So,
do? I think you would enjoy this, but maybe I'm wrong. I think you would enjoy being an oversight consultant because you get to watch them adopt this, you know,
yeah, and
maybe you don't have time, but I think you would.
no, trust me. You guessed it immediately. You know, I would love this. Absolutely, I would love this.
Yeah.
If there would be an opportunity, I would jump in like within a second, not even wait one day.
Well,
Trust
one
me.
thing I can give you if you'd like is I can give you access to all of the training we have in our portal. I would just, it's up to you if you want to learn it. Like, see, you feel to me like me. When I learned this material,
Yeah.
I was so passionate about it. I couldn't, in fact, I kept taking the program over and over again. It was originally in a parenting model. And my instructor said to me, if you really want to learn it, teach it. And I said, oh, I can do that. And that's when I knew this is my passion because I couldn't get enough of it. And I suspect you're a little bit that way as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
When to be honest, Judy, when I got your email, when I received your email, and I was reading through it, and I told you only time it, prevented me from going through everything at once. But I was reading it, and I'm like, the material you sent, I'm like, wait a second, this is my world.
Yes.
This is,
Yes. And I kind of think we're finding each other. People that are kind of like-minded are finding each other. I was just at a conference on diversity and inclusion in March. And the theme of the conference was combining forces. I really believe that this is the era in which all of us who want to make the bigger changes, because of technology, we really can. I think a lot of organizations think, well, how can I bring this to everyone? Well, that's like saying, well, how can everybody have a cell phone? Well, nowadays everybody can have a cell phone. So it's possible for everybody to learn how to be in a culture together. And when we did this, because I was a parent who did this model, when my children were growing up, I went into the schools wanting to work with the parents, teachers, administrators, and students and the neighborhood all at the same time. And I wrote a vision for that. And in 2003, I went into this school district in St. Louis, which had 110 schools. And I was getting these little half-day assignments because this one woman was promoting us. This was before we had our online stuff. And I went in just to thank her. I just went in to say, thank you for being such an advocate for us. I didn't even have a meeting or anything scheduled. And she goes, oh, I'm glad you're here. Come and sit down. She said, what would you could do if you could do anything you want and money was no problem? Because I've been hearing good things about your work. I said, oh, that's easy. I just wrote a vision. I would work the programs with the parents. I would work the same programs with the teachers, and we would teach the students, and we would teach some people in the neighborhood all at the same time. So they'd all have the same common understandings and language and tools. She goes, oh, well, here's a $300,000 grant application. It's due in 2 days. I don't have time to write one. I like what you're saying. If I like what you write, I'll sign off on it. And we won a $300,000 grant in 1 month. And then a couple years later, somebody said, oh, you should go to the mayor because they're collecting taxes for kids. And they have all these big pots of money for these kids projects. And so we partnered with a nonprofit because we're a for-profit. And we did a project called Go the Distance. And it was for high school students in the inner cities of St. Louis, where the dropout rate was really high, and helped more kids stay in school and graduate. And we trained the parents, the teachers, the administrators, and the students. And we won an award for it called the Vanguard Award for Innovation. And we won an $800,000 grant. So
wow.
We almost got into Build-A-Bear. If you know Build-A-Bear, I'll send you the Build-A-Bear narrated presentation. Build-A-Bear, do you know what that is, Build-A-Bear?
No, tell me.
Build-A-Bear is a global company, and most people know it because they have these little workshop places in malls where kids can make bears and they have parties and all that. But it's their primary target is parents. So they were based out of St. Louis, and their HR director was one of my friends who believed in this work. And she goes, boy, I wish I could get you into Build-A-Bear. And I said, what if we go to the owner, the founder, and we present a new profit center, a cause marketing called Build a Healthy Family, Build a Healthy School? Because your company's already interacting with parents, but wouldn't it be great if you could get teachers involved and then they buy more stuffed animals, whatever they want, right? Because I was a parent and stuffed animals were okay, but if they would have had parent education and my kids' teachers could have gone, I would have been there all the time. And so she said, oh, I love that. So we went and presented to the founder. Her name was Maxine Clark. And she said, yes, this is needed everywhere. We should do this. And then after the meeting, my friend Kathy and I, we sat down and we were so excited. And she said, I'm surprised she said yes, because this was in 2011. And in the United States, there was a big recession at 2008. And they were still trying to dig out from under that. She said they were only $100,000 away from being in the red. So she said, I'm surprised she said yes. Well, what happened was about 2 weeks later, she ended up selling the company to somebody else. So the deal fell through. So then when the pandemic hit, we sent the narrated presentation that we had given in 2011, we sent it to the new CEO. The marketing director wanted to go forward, but the CEO was like, no, we just sell stuffed animals. We don't want to do all that. So they didn't take it, but I still think that project's going to happen someday, even if it's not with Build-A-Bear. But because I just think they're crazy for passing on that. They could attract a whole new group of people into their work and help a lot of the world right now.
Yeah.
So have I overwhelmed you?
No, I told you I'm enthusiastic about it. I wish I could learn everything in like
Well, do you want me to
second.
do you want me to send you a non-disclosure agreement so that you can see the guts of what we're doing? I mean, I can give you access to all of our individual modules and group modules and all of that if you want to see it. I just don't want to overwhelm you more with information. But if you like that, I'm happy to give you access.
Yes, I agree. I would like to learn more so that I can do it, whenever I'm given a second. It's really
Okay. So I
things
would
I
say
love.
if you do nothing else, I would go watch the partner video, because that tells you a little bit more about the kinds of partnerships and the designations and what kind of revenue shares there are. I don't think we have anything in there about the oversight consulting, but I want you to know that that is another way your organization could make profit. We pay the oversight consultants 60% of the hourly rate. So if it's high, like when we're working in New York with an orthopedic surgery company, we're charging $250 an hour. So whoever's the oversight consultant would be paid $150 an hour. If your organization is making profit from that, maybe you would have a percentage of that as well. But we would be giving you 20% on everything we're making, every profit that we have. So that's something for you all to understand.
Yes, certainly it is. I would like it.
Yeah. Well, then I think you should be the one, Manuela, at least one of the ones.
Yes, at least one of the ones. Yes, I would like it.
I know we need to go, but I will tell you, there was one company that we were talking to. They haven't done it yet, but they are a group of 140 chief marketing officers. So their company is a fractional marketing company. Do you know what fractional means? They just go in for those short, so they would go into these organizations and they would help them with marketing strategy and marketing vision and all of that. And they would maybe have 6 months with their clients, and they had 140 of these fractional, and each one of them was in maybe 4 to 6 accounts. So that's a lot of businesses that they were involved in. Well,
Yes.
She realized right away, she goes, you know what, we can't really help people very effectively with marketing if they have a horrible toxic culture, because the best branding in the world isn't going to prevent them from losing reputation and employees and all of that. And so She understood that it was a natural fit to put healthy culture with marketing. And she said, we could look at this to extend our service offerings, because right now we're only working about 6 months in these accounts. But if some of them wanted to also improve their culture, we could add that in as an additional service. And then we could train some of our marketing people to be the oversight consultants, because they're already working in those accounts on marketing. So we wrote a proposal for them, but they haven't accepted it yet. But that's an idea that's kind of like what I would present to you all.
Yes.
where there's that awareness that this would enhance what somebody's already doing. So I know you've been so attentive and so receptive. I hope that you feel that you've been able to talk enough.
Yes. I'm very, but I wanted to learn. Part of the whole thing was I wanted to learn and get to know what is being done. Get to know you better,
Well,
And you know,
I can already tell what I think your temperament colors are. I think you're probably a high blue. We use a, you know how Myers-Briggs and DISC and all of those, we use a color model from one of our partners and it's called Intrinsics. And if you decide you want to get directly involved in us, I'll do your colors for you. But you feel like a blue in first place because you care about relationships, you care about harmony, you care about inspiration. Is that true of you?
yes,
And
yes.
here's where I'm a little different from you. I have a very high blue, but it's my second color. My first color is green, which is a systems developer, a person that wants people to be successful and competent in what they're doing. And because my blue is second, I want them to be competent in being good with being human, being able to create that world where they love their lives, where they can get along with each other. So if I had a different color behind my green, I would probably create some other kind of system like an accounting system. But because I care about people, the systems that I build are people systems. I suspect you are either a green blue or a blue green because it feels like we're very similar.
Yes, yes. I think so too. We are.
Yeah.
And it's great. It has been great. I mean, I enjoyed this meeting. Probably it's one of the meetings I've enjoyed the most.
Well, you're such a good listener. I won't tell anybody, but let me know how I can help because, you know, I just believe if something is meant to be, it's going to feel right. And I trust you to keep checking in with yourself and with Trent and making sure this is actually aligned with you all. To me, it seems like a no-brainer because there's a lot of people we could help. I think we're speaking the same language. And I think we could help fund a lot of growth for both companies, both organizations.
Yes. It's a no-brainer for me either.
Yeah.
Trust me, Judy. And I think you perceived it during the meeting.
Yes.
Now it's a question of getting Trent and his visionary approach to everything down to, you know.
If you want, I can send you some sort of summary points to talk to him about. But what I think would be more helpful to him is maybe to suggest to him that you or somebody in your organization do a test run with us. Just agree to be a partner for a certain period of time and see how it goes for the organization. Because that way, you know whether this is something that would be a benefit. Because you really want to look at, is this a value to us? Does this help us in every possible way that matters to us? You know, and if you feel like a pilot would help, it might help him see the reality of it because it's kind of
I think
contextual.
I think that's where he you know, because he's such a visionary, he jumps from one vision to the next, and he doesn't, you know, go down into the reality of things.
Yes.
And because of that, he doesn't perceive what is the richness of the actual reality.
That's exactly my impression of him, and that's not a criticism. But I know the first time I talked with him, it was almost like he didn't have the bandwidth to take in what I was saying. And that's not a criticism. I just think he's so busy focusing on all these different places.
Yes, he remains up in the vision and he's great at doing that, but he needs to be brought a little bit down. And then, you know, I think once he's brought down, the vision will expand, explode,
right.
You know, but at another level.
And that's why I'm saying to you, if he had a tangible example of something working, he might go, oh, I see the opportunity in this, not only financially, but in terms of us achieving our mission. Because your mission is to help people be accountable for how they impact the world. And if they're all in discouragement and inferiority complex, which you're going to see if you watch those videos, they cannot be a gift to the world because they're busy protecting themselves.
Yes.
You know, most people are busy with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the majority, I think.
Yes. And it's what's really hard is a lot of people feel guilty, like they're supposed to already know better, but they weren't taught.
It's just a question, you know, we're always learning in reality, but people don't want to you know, they don't realize that.
No, they don't realize it. And some people, they think it's already, everything to be known has already been known. So they're a little bit disturbed if you bring something new in. You know? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the Build-A-Bear presentation. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yes.
I'm going to send you access to the portal. I'm going to send you a non-disclosure so that I'm protecting our materials. That's all that is.
Yes.
If you, I'll put a summary of bullet points together of our conversation so that maybe you can feel like it's grounded in what you want to say to Trent as a possibility. And then those are
Yes.
jumping off points. Is there anything else you need from me that I can help with?
No, just just for you to stand by my side all the time.
I will be here. One of my core values is over communication. So as much as you want to communicate, you let me know. I'm available anytime I'm available. You can call me if you want to use WhatsApp or whatever. I'm not super big on that. We can do a Zoom session anytime. You can email me 1,000,000 times a day. I don't care. You will not bug me. People say to me all the time, well, I don't want to take up your time. I'm like, take up my time. This is what I love to do. So I got you. I got you, Manuela.
That's
I'm
good
here.
because I want to, and I want to say, I want to stay in touch with all that you do because it really touches my heart. So
Thank you. I
really
feel like
touches.
you are a person that touches my heart. You have a very beautiful heart. I felt it in your emails. I just feel the warmth that you have for humanity. And I feel like if I had to guess what your purpose is, it's to cause a feeling of worthiness. Is that how you see yourself at your best, that you cause people to know their worthiness?
I hope. I mean, it has not been said. It has been said to me actually from other people. I care. I really care about the world. I care about people.
What's the outcome because you care? What's the outcome?
That I cannot tell you because, to be honest,
see, that's what a real
I-
purpose is. A real purpose is what you cause by the best in you. When I'm the best of me, I cause a world where people love their lives. I cause conditions where people love their lives. At your best, you cause people to feel empowered, worthy, and it allows me to feel uplifted. You cause upliftment. So I would look at that because caring is how you live. What you cause is what you cause.
Thank you very much for all that you've said, Judy.
Thank you for
I'm
listening.
going to be, you know what? I'm going to be bothering you many times, I think, with email and
Good. Bother me. I would love to get to know you better and better.
I do. I want to know you better, and I really hope we do something together.
Yeah.
With Spirit of the Game, and also in Greece together, and in life in general together.
Yeah, boy, I think
that
wouldn't that be awesome if we could do some kind of Grecian executive summit or something?
Yeah, I would be in for it anytime.
Yeah, I've never been to Greece, but it's one of my my places. It's my #1 place that I want to visit is the Grecian islands.
No, I have been to Greece many times, and you have to go there. I'm going to come and pull you if you don't go there.
All
Honestly,
right, it's a deal. Okay. All right.
Honestly, you have to.
Let's just hold that vision, okay? We'll hold that vision that we're going to find some really fun and meaningful things to do together, okay?
Okay. Yes, and let's make it happen. Judy.
All right. Okay. Have a wonderful day.
You too, and thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye. Bye.